So here's a statistic. There was a report done by the US Department of Agriculture, the Economic Research Services portion of that department. And it says that over the last 3 decades, consolidation in food retail has increased significantly at the national, state, metro, and county levels. And in the past 10 years, the market share of the four largest supermarket chains has increased significantly. Now, there are different metrics on which this kind of control is measured, but depending on what specific measurements are used, the four biggest chains being Walmart, Kroger, Costco, and Albertsons control 43 to 69% of sales. Now, at the
Mm.
time that we're recording this episode, the Kroger Albertsons merger is like being finalized, right? And so that means that instead of four retailers controlling it, now it's three. The frustrating thing for me is that in the article as well, they call out that during a November 2023 Senate hearing, Kroger CEO testified that the merger would, quote, enhance competition. He goes on to say that with a broader network and even more customers to serve, we believe the merger will benefit our suppliers as it will allow for a more efficient distribution chain, provide opportunities to grow sales together, and reduce waste. He also said that the merger would lower prices and benefit employees.
So right away, I hear you say it will benefit suppliers and lower prices.
Mm-hmm.
How do those things go together?
Great question. Great question. I don't think that they
Yeah.
do. I don't think they
Yeah.
do. I think it benefits some suppliers, right? The really, really big ones who are already benefited by the mergers and the amount of control, the oligopolies that are our food retail industry. I don't think that the small suppliers, notice it didn't say like will benefit large and small suppliers, will benefit small supply, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not taken into account. And so the concern here for me and for many people across the country is that there's less and less opportunity for good food products, right? Products that have come out of the good food movement to appear on shelf. We're seeing that in Whole Foods. It's
Hmm.
happening right now. It's something that is documented and that is like coming across my desk. We're seeing it with farmers, right, in this article, and it's going to get worse and worse over time because why in the world, if you are trying to drive profits, right, would you have different buyers in different regions bringing in different products? That's more
Yeah. And
expensive.
yeah, in the article, they actually speak to, and I believe they quote the general manager of one of the food hubs saying the buying power of newly combined Kroger entity cannot be understated.
Mm.
Growers and shippers are ultimately, and I think this goes for CPG as well, right? What we're talking is are ultimately price takers
Mm-hmm.
and are constantly struggling to achieve better than break even prices from retailers.
I think that's such a great portion of the article to call out. And that terminology, price takers, is really interesting. And I'll say we see that with good food brands and emerging brands as well, right? This idea of, well, this is the price they want my product to be at on shelf. And so if your
Mm-hmm.
product is going to be on shelf at $2 less than what you typically sell it for, then that is going to trickle down to how much you as the brand get paid for your product. It is going to squeeze your margins. It is going to potentially require you, right, in I would say 99% of cases, to sell your product at a very small margin to be on shelf, right? It's going to cost
Mm-hmm.
you a lot of money to get on shelf. Now, this is something else that I don't want to dive too far into here, but and we should do a separate news piece on this, Chelsea. But what we're also seeing at Whole Foods is the control that they have. It's like if you want to run a promo, the costs for that are going up, and they're going up in new ways, right? And so when you have three companies who own all retail, right? Who own the vast majority of retail, they have even more power to call the shots. They have even more power to say, this is how much it's going to be to pay to play. These are the new ways that you're going to have to pay to play and to be on our shelves. And that is so detrimental to the health and well-being of Americans, if I'm being really blunt about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is not good for anyone.
Yeah.
Not just the food founders out there, but for everyone who eats food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.